From healthcare to today's stellar jobs report, it has been an absolutely huge week for the Trump administration. This as they move full steam ahead now on tax reform. So who better to break it all down than with Gary Cohn? Here are some highlights from my interview with the nation's Economic Council director earlier today.
Unlike healthcare, we are out talking to all the groups that are going to be interested in our tax plan. To drive economic growth and bring jobs back to America, you can't do it in bite-sized increments. You have to be willing to be bold. At a 2% stagnant growth rate, we cannot create enough revenue to pay down our deficit. If we get our tax plan done and we get our regulatory reform done, we are going to have more money coming in because we're going to grow our economy. If we don't incentivize people to bring that money back, it will get invested overseas. We're happy with what we're getting done. We're realistic to how much more we have to do.
Joining me now, Peter Morici. Peter, my pushback with Gary Cohn was that this thing is so magnificent, so huge, so big, and we already saw what happened when they sort of tried to ram health care through without doing it in a more meticulous manner. Do you think it's possible for them to get through massive, massive reform and to do it in a timely manner?
I think on the corporate side, it's quite possible. Everybody acknowledges the corporate tax code needs a cleaning up. If they can find 51 senators that will vote for border tax adjustments, then they can cut the rates down to 20%. And I think that would be very, very productive, and it would be very easy to bring home capital at that level. On the personal side, it's much tougher. How do you come up with Chuck Schumer's middle-class tax cut when the top 25% already pay about 89% of the taxes? I mean, are they going to pay 100% of the taxes? And those are the people that create jobs. Those are the small businesses. If you raise their taxes to create a middle-class tax cut, well, goodness, there'll be no investment in America.
Well, I think the idea is to tie the individual taxes with business taxes, linking small businesses, as you know, who right now they file mostly as individuals. Before we get into that, though, you brought up the border adjustment tax. I laid that out there a couple of times for Gary Cohn. He never took the bait. I believe that's dead on arrival. You
may well be right, but you cannot get down to 20% without it. I think it's going to settle more in the range of 25. That would be revenue neutral. And then applying it to small businesses, the LLCs, would not seem that burdensome on the personal income tax. Remember, they have other costs. They have to pay payroll taxes. They often have to pay themselves a salary to keep the IRS off their back. So there's accounting costs and things like that. That puts them in the range of parity, both with the corporate side and the personal side.
I can see you did not see the interview because revenue neutral is out. At least it's out in the sense of traditional CBO stag scoring. They want to use dynamic scoring, and they don't want this revenue neutral to hurt them or stop them because they're looking for super growth.
I'm building in a bit of that. I'm sorry, Charles. I'm building in a bit of that. I expect there's going to be some dynamic scoring, but you can't get back every dollar you cut. If you think you can cut taxes by $200 billion and generate enough growth to get back $200 billion, well, that just isn't in the book of economics. It doesn't work.